Welcome to Hobby Now. I'm ZiggyNo. Today is May 22nd, 2024. It's 4 years ago was COVID, man. 4 years ago. Isn't that crazy? 4 years ago, many YouTube channels and content creators and new ideas and businesses all sprung out. Think about where we were 4 years ago and where we are today. Pretty positive. Lots to talk about today in Hobby Now. We're going to talk about the Kaboom Miscut Tops cards. I saw a phenomenal skit on IG. I just want to correct things and remind people memories are short in the hobby. We'll talk about bad memory sponsors. Um, Remember, it was only a few years ago, a certain breaker got caught doing something off camera, and that breaker now, I think, sponsors at least 3 or 4 of the largest YouTube channels that you're probably watching, which we'll get into that later on. Um, Shilling news. Shilling news. Is it really new? I saw what AIH did a video about it. I think his really was focusing on the point of there's like this Japanese, Chinese guy who keeps reposting the same cards. And then I saw it picked up by Sports Card Dad talked about it. Neo talked about it. Everybody's talked about it. Shilling, 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 shilling. Is that really new news? And did you tell us anything different? And I will talk about that too. Stealing scandal. Stealing scandal. Great video from Jeremy Lee talking about how he got involved in buying some stolen goods. Some interesting points I want to highlight, some questions I want to ask, and would love you, recommend you to go check it out. Because this is one of those things where I ask myself, is the hobby better today than it was 4 years ago in regards to stolen items? Are we safer than we were 4 years ago? Lastly, and I really not probably last, we'll probably talk about a few other things, but lastly on my noteboard here is PSA and GameStop and the PSA selling of cards. What does that mean? Why do we care? What should we be paying attention to? We'll say more points of liquidity, also more places for people to move stolen goods. I'll also give you an update on what I'm doing. I'm getting pummeled by PSA submission cards coming back. I've probably gotten back, I think 80 cards, 90 cards recently. I've got another 50 coming back, probably next week. I have not been able to keep up with my selling. I'll talk about that and the challenge of selling. It's a lot going on. Very, very busy. Excited about new releases. I haven't bought anything. I did open some old boxes recently. I'm watching the playoffs, but a lot to talk about today in Hobby Now. So sit back. Thanks for joining. Hope we'll have some fun. Oh, we'll also shout out some channels if I'm watching, and I'd like you to check them out for me. Saw a great IG of a guy making fun of the Kaboom cards. Apparently, for all the Kaboom Wembies, none of them come back more than a PSA 8. And a PSA 8 is that cutoff where like a card company can say we're supposed to be PSA 8 or greater. If it's less than a PSA 8, I think they consider them factory damage and they will remake them for you. That's what someone told me. Don't know if that's true or not, but my PSA 6 is being remade. And I use that as an argument for why they should remake it. Now, background here. As soon as I saw that, I thought to myself, how quickly we forgot. Isn't it Topps who owns the printing and cutting facility? Isn't it Topps? Like, isn't there some Topps employees in there doing this face right here? What's right here? This face right here. You know what I'm saying? Over here going, ha, 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 ha. Isn't he cutting the kabooms and devaluing them deliberately? Who has the best gain from that? It's got to be top. It's got to be a Topps guy, right? I just totally see this guy get a memo from like Topps management. Please make sure you miscut all the Wimby shortcuts or short prints from Panini. You know, their color blasts, their kabooms. Make sure these bitches are off centered as can be. And the guy just sitting there laughing, right? Because with Wimby's autograph cards coming out and his non-licensed cards coming out, who do you want to spend more money on? Chasing a 9 or 10 in those products or chasing Kaboom and getting a PSA 8? I mean, guys, a PSA 8. So that was my first thought. Call me, it's my tin hat conspiracy theories. But I think we should, again, not blame Panini. We should blame Topps, Fanatics. I'll also mention real quickly, I've noticed, and again, I expect this all year long, Panini doesn't care if retail is beating out its hobby boxes. It's been happening. Select has been out. I think Optic's been out. All these products are beating the hobby product out, and no one cares. Even the market doesn't care. That's going to stop because eventually there's not going to be any more retail products. I think Retail Select will be the last good retail product coming out. I think they'll do a Retail Chronicles, I'm sure. It's going to be interesting when we get those high-end products like Noir, Immaculate, NT, Flawless, when they don't have the autographs to support them. So I'm really interested to see. I think that's why they don't care. They might even flood another wave of retail in the back half of the year. It would not surprise me. And I was even saying the other day how you notice that there's so many more hits in retail, gold number to 10, number to 99. And people are paying crazy money these cards because again, there's no autographs. But we've totally been like, okay, it's like if you're an animal that used to eat meat all the time, they just keep giving you bananas. You're like, oh, the bananas aren't that bad. I don't know, it's a poor analogy, but we're being fed enough that we just change our diet, you know. Um, Bad memory. I want to talk about. I was watching Chris Sewell and Junkwax Mike doing a little collaboration. Let me first of all say this: I am probably my favorite person in the hobby is Chris Sewell, and I don't ever want to bring him down by be associating with me because he's the best person in the hobby. He's just real. He's honest. He's engaging. I love seeing him involved in so many different collaborations with so many different people. But I found it very ironic this week. I was watching him with Junkwax Hero. First of all, Junkwax Hero, I think, has Vintage Breaks as a sponsor. I know he does. Vintage Breaks is a sponsor. I've been critical of Vintage Breaks. I'm not going to sit here and spend time on it. The guy at Vintage Breaks was caught stealing pack on camera. He took the pack off and used a different pack. Now, there's a lot of reasons behind that, but after watching the Jeff Wilson video this weekend, it makes me think maybe he saw on the back of that wax pack there was a special rookie or special card. So the fact that pack came off camera and was not broken the way that we would expect it to be in the breaking community, and that company has only grown since then, just really irks me. I'll just say this too: you don't get put out of business by screwing people over in the hobby. Brandon Cook's 99. That's just because that was a dude who was a kitchen breaker who just quit breaking. He's like, it's not worth the time to deal with this shit, and he just quit. But most people who get caught doing shit on camera just continue doing it. So just keep that in mind, right? It's not just that I was critical of vintage breaks, selling retail at like 4x, 3x what it's worth, not knowing the product. Um, just not very impressed with that. It's so interesting what we look in the hobby and go, oh, you shouldn't do that, but you can do this. What we accept. I'll just stop and leave it at that. But anyway, Chris Sewell, Mike are on there. Mike's sponsored by Vintage Breaks, and Mike's talking about how he buys collections, and it kind of like goes on my head. I'm like, Mike, Junkwax dude, why would you not just recommend? Hey, in fact, I'll tell you right now, if anybody out there you're selling your collection and you want someone to sell it to, I would recommend you talk to Chris Sewell. Maybe I should start off by saying that. I recommend Chris Sewell for buying any of your collections. He is who I would trust. I think he'd give you the best fair price. He's the most honest about things. He's well recognized in the community. He's just a damn good guy. Listening to this conversation, it's something that's on Junkwax Heroes channel. You can go check him out. He asked a question about what are your thoughts on sponsors? And it's funny because that was my question. I asked Junkwax about it, and I asked a little more to it because I feel like he has a very low bar to his sponsors. Like, for example, you're picking Vintage Breaks as your sponsor. And Mike, check me if I'm wrong. You don't do any breaking. You can't even spell sports card breaking. And I don't mean to be an ass about it, but seriously, you know nothing about sports card breaking. And you got this guy being your sponsor, a very, very shady breaker who's caught selling up camera, who you even recognize. Well, I think he did that about 2 years ago. Yeah, he did about 2 years ago. And it's the same goddamn people. Like nothing's changed. So what, we just reward that behavior? I'm glad your bar is really high on who you accept or don't accept. Anyway, going over to the conversation, Mike responded to, I used to have sponsors. I was selective of who I had. Now I don't need them or want them. I would only use sponsors of products that I use. Just a really good, and I'm paraphrasing. Go check it out. But his answer was so just, yeah, yeah, that's what I expect. I would expect that as I'm watching these guys and I'm trusting you and I'm learning what you're doing, I have respect in the fact you use this product. So yeah, go ahead and tell me it's a sponsor. Drop a code. I will even give credit to Neo. Neo's very similar. Neo's sponsors are normally, as far as I know, companies that he actually uses, right? There are many out there, right, who take a sponsor from anybody just because they feel entitled to the money because of all the videos they're making, they should be getting some damn sponsors. I hope that Junkback Mike makes a different opinion. I hope Vintage Breaks changes the way they do business. I've even been critical of Jeremy about it. Jeremy promotes Leighton. And I'll tell you who got me into this too. We'll get to this on the stealing scandal in a little bit here. But I just want to remind everybody again, the hobby cannot grow if we're selective of how we dole out punishment. Some guys get banned, other guys get forgiven. And um, I think ignorance is the number one reason that happens. Well, I didn't know, I'm not in breaks. I don't do breaks. And it's so easy to do that. And I don't know what the answer is. To be honest, it is a free fucking market. It's kind of what makes this hobby the way it is. I guess here's my point to that. I guess I'm okay with it because the hobby just can't grow. It cannot, as long as you have this shit going on, it's just not going to grow. But if you want it to grow, you're going to have to make it better first. Like if you just shoving sheep in here, you're just going to butcher people and you're going to piss people off. And as I said, I think I said this last night in my video, what I see happening is that the hobby's been very fortunate in the last, I'd say, 8 years. Good rookie classes, weathered the storm of COVID very, very well, gained popularity, product market expanding. But all of these hobbies over, 30, 40, 50 years have these cyclical dips, right? Where there'll be a year or two where shit won't be the same, right? And when that year hits, what happens to the hobby? How do we absorb it? Now, be honest, true hobbies know how they'll absorb it. They can tell you they've been here a long time. They'll tell you about 2009 or this year or whatever, the strike year of 86. Not 86. Was it 88, 89? Anyway, um, and I don't think corporate people understand that. So next I want to talk about was the shilling news. Shilling news. We're going to come back to sponsorships in a little bit, but shilling news. So, like I said, I saw AIH did a video on this. Apparently, somebody in China, who's considered the probe scene of China, posted a card and then quickly relisted it, and then quickly relisted it, and quickly relisted it. And my thoughts are, okay, is that his fault? Is it his fault that should he keep it off the market longer? And also, with it being listed so quickly and it being serial numbered, yeah, there's enough evidence to go, yeah, that clearly didn't sell. That was not that last one was not a real transaction. Like that does not seem to me to be a screaming concern of guys, pay attention. Like unless you're buying that one and you really pulled that up as a comp and you didn't see five of them right next to each other and go, huh, it sold 5 times on May 15th through May 20th for $5,500. You know, um, First of all, I'll just say this too. We made people ignorant of what a comp is. It's a comparable sale of an equal item. Comparable, not equal, not the same item, and not the same value and same time and same everything else. Remember, these are not market cap items. Just because one sells for 500 doesn't mean the next one should. It just means that one guy was willing to pay 500 for it. So I think there's some education be happening here. I think what really drove me crazy is when I saw, one of my favorite content creators pick this up and start talking about it. When is eBay going to change this? I thought to myself, what do you want eBay to do here? Genius. I'm serious. Listen to me, genius. I'm serious. I want you to go back to your video you made about how eBay needs to stop this relisting of these items they apparently are shilled. What should eBay do? Please explain to me in the audience, what should eBay do? Ban that seller who's selling thousands of dollars of product. Sometimes it sells, sometimes it doesn't. He might have policy says if you're a bad, at the end, if we determine you're bad, we're going to quickly cancel your order and relist. Is that terrible for the dude? Again, if you really want to look at this, shilling and going back to the PWCC scandal was that it appeared that other IP addresses, other users that were associated, almost as if they were working with on the same time and or for an entity like PWCC, continue to make the same bids to make items higher up, right? You could have similar thing, but that's not the lister's fault, right? It could be there are two guys in China who are shilling up the same damn card, relisting it over and over, pissing each other off. Absolutely could happen. But the information's right there. The data's right there. You can see that. You need to be more concerned about the I'll tell you the most egregious shilling is in these micro auctions you get into with whatnot, and it's Fanatics Live, where you have 3 minutes to bid on a team or bid on an item or bid on a card, and before you end up bidding, it gets bid up again. And what you'll see is there's always a guy in there, not always, but often a guy who's a friend of the guy running the auction. Joe 4566, hit it up to $15 when you were waiting at 13, and now you got to bid 16 to close it. There's always that one guy who shows those up because, in my opinion, at the end of the night, he can go back to the owner and go, yeah, just cancel those out. I'll pay you, whatever it is. That is my biggest concern on shilling, dude. There's that shilling shit in those micro auctions. We need to be auditing those logs. You should want to see those, but you can't. You can't analyze that in that short period of time. These other logs are there. You can make decisions. Don't make or bid. Be aware of what you're doing. Don't get FOMO out of stuff. Make a bid, stick with it, and whatever. Use sniping software. There's so many other reasons or ways around shilling. I just think the latest influencers are just full of shit and they don't know what to talk about and they're regurgitating stuff. AIH, I thought you did a great job bringing it to the attention. I thought everybody else just chewed on your bone like they were starving for content. Whew. Where did I just put my Kool-Aid? Shilling scandal. No, I just talked about that. Stealing scandal. Sorry. Stealing scandal. Jeremy Lee, great video. I recommend listening to this. Now, he has a guy on there who starts off talking about how his cards came home one day, his cards were stolen. And he reports them stolen to the local police. That's important to know. Number one, if you have important cards, have them serial numbered, have pictures of them. If you can't have an insurance policy, take video, whatever you can. Have something. If they end up missing, report them to the police immediately. They have value. They are important items. Kind of like reporting a gun. Not the same, but like a gun. Okay. Jeremy went to some show. He bought some cards, some needle dude. I don't know the guy's name. Needle guy, needle man, needle dude. Bought his cards, got home, posted them, quickly found out that these needle cards belonged to somebody that he knew in the community who was a needle man collector. And he was a suspect at first. Like, how do I really know they're your cards? But I guess, man, if you had them stolen and you did post this, and man, I have the card, that sucks. What am I going to do? I'm just paraphrasing. Jeremy's like, I guess, first of all, I think Jeremy was pretty clear saying, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to send these cards to this guy. I'll be made whole some other way. I mean, he's probably going to be made whole in this video. We'll make enough money on the video. The video is a great video. It's worth watching. Go watch the video, support Jeremy. He goes in to tell you, though, what happened was he found out the guy who sold him the cards was contacted Jeremy, and he paid Jeremy back the money he spent, and he has taken on the loss so far. And he's returning the needle cards to the main owner, and the main owners had other cards returned to him. So apparently in November, these cards are stolen, and now they're popping up all over different places, and some of them are being returned. Now, communities rallying around it. Most of it's in Canada, and most of what's happened's been in Canada. It was a hockey player, needle dude. And hockey communities rallied around Jeremy, offered to reimburse him and the guy underneath him and do business. It was a really good story. It's a great story. Now I'm gonna get to something in a second. It's in Canada. Canada's always different. Some important things that came to light, and these are Canadian law. It is illegal to buy stolen items. If you know an item is stolen and you buy it, that's illegal. If your friends that dude, I just pulled this out of a car, you can't play ignorance of the law. If you were known that the item is stolen and you know, it's a crime. Okay. If you have an item that you are reselling and you find out that it was stolen, somebody provides proof to you that it is a stolen item, and you do not return it or to the owner or the police, and you're now in possession of a known stolen item, you are breaking the law. It's not the same law, but you are breaking the law. So point is, if you come to possess stolen items, you need to return them, right? That's kind of the law. Who pays for that? Kind of there's chain of custody. You would then chase the person that you got them from. They could chase the person or there. That's why it's important to have things like bill of sales, collect information about who the buyer or seller was, get identification. And Jeremy team talked about that. One of the resellers on there, Carmen, who runs Slab Sharks, talked about how they changed their policy on consignment. How they're going to put together a database for stolen cards. There's a lot of interesting, positive things coming out of this. Now, I want to quickly just swing this over and say, what the hell's going on, Sports Card Radio, with Prism God? Did you guys falsely accuse him of having stolen property or investor card? Like, is that true or not? And are the laws in the United States different than they are abroad? Like, can you have? I just want to know. I mean, it seems to me this would be a clear, cold case. If that guy really has cards stolen, he has serial numbers of them, he can show where they are. They should be his cards, and then everybody else in the middle should deal with the bullshit, right? Investor card who gave money to Prism God, he seems to be out. I don't know. I just would like some resolution on that. There's a lot of these stories I would like resolution on. And I'd also want it in the sense I want there to be justice. I'd like to hear somebody went to jail, or the guy holding the stolen product or would not, help the stolen product be returned, get some time or gets a penalty. Let's not support up the facade that it's okay to steal. That's what I took away from this. I take away from it that it seems like it's okay in the US, you can get away with it. And one of the things I've been critical about is repacks. Repacks can buy a product, put it in a product. When it gets resealed and shuffled around, you pop it open. It's harder to chase chain of custody. Where'd you get this from? Well, I got it in a repack. Repacker said, where'd you get it from? Well, I bought it at the Texas Bank. About $50,000 in product. Do you have bill for sale for everything? I don't know. These are things that I would be concerned about. And I think we could tighten up in the community, right? Have a requirement that repackers have to have bill of sale where they can buy the items, or IDs, or some proof of identification from items. Look at what PSA is doing with GameStop. My first thought about this, and we'll talk about GameStop, is that I think a lot of people are going to steal stolen cards there. Like, I think if you're a young thief right now, you found a way to make money out of PSA cards. Right? You can sell them to repackers that got these sports card shows. You can sell them at GameStops. I just think it attracts a lot of attention, and I don't know if that's good or bad for the younger community. Like, I can see little kids getting bullied for their cards so they can go sell them at GameStop. So that's just me. People tell me sometimes I'm a little negative. Maybe I'm realistic. I just am concerned about those things. I will say this too. PSA GameStop. I did listen to the Chase talking to PSA about it. PSA is actually very involved in helping GameStop with the identification process, using PSA, putting valuations on them, um, which I find very interesting. I was thinking, GameStop, boy, it's quite a struggler. Someone says kind of like a cockroach. A company just keeps adapting and changing and moves from one thing to the other, shifts. They have phenomenal name brand recognition. They have a lot of good locations, and they have a very, very young sales force. Often it's one guy running the damn store, right? I could see those being bought out by PSA/collectors or Fanatics in the next 12 months to 18 months. I could see them buying that and making plans. If you're Fanatics, that right there, you got your cookie cutter LCS, right? They're all the same. They're all gonna look the same. They're the same thing. They're gonna do the same thing. Your buy cards, sell cards, have location, everything's right there, right? You could actually have video games going on, play the latest video game collaboration while you're waiting for the drop, right? Or come join us in the store, get some merchandise. It's such an opportunity for them to cross over. I'm telling you, man, in my mind, and I'm not a GameStop fan, but in my old mind that thinks retail might sell some value, Fanatics buying GameStop and turning that into a Fanatic shop. I'm not talking like lids. I'm talking a serious Fanatic shop where you could buy mainly Fanatics memorabilia, maybe buy, sell, trade, kind of like GameStop had. Bring your memorabilia in, trade it here for memorabilia value. Think about that. Use it on the GameStop marketplace. Drop your cards off here at GameStop. We'll submit them for PSA submission. They get sold on eBay. Guys, I'm telling you, man, that is a good move for Fanatics. Fanatics buying GameStop. Boom. I think Fanatics stock is too high right now. Or not Fanatics. GameStop stock is too high. I think we hit everything. Not too long today. Kaboom, miscuts. That's Topps' fault, guys. Bad memory. Bad memory. How quickly we forget vintage breaks. And again, the guys who are sponsoring them, Sports Card Dad, Junk Wax Hero, you guys don't buy breaks. You definitely don't buy vintage breaks. Why are you doing that, man? Just don't. Just I'd love to hear your reason. Please tell me why. Because I need the money. Shilling news is not new to me. Understand what's going on. Stealing scandal. Check out Jeremy Lee's channel. Also, real quick, let me just say quickly, shout out to Sports Card Madness. Do me a favor too, by the way. If you listen to this video and you get this far, when you go listen to a Sports Card Madness video, and he has some phenomenal content. I don't even recommend a video. It's one on how to, a sports card thrive while the others fail. There's so many good videos. Leave a comment if you may, and tell them that you were sent by ZiggyNo. Hey, ZiggyNo sent me. ZiggyNo said, you're a great channel. I really appreciate it. Whatever it can be. Say something with ZiggyNo. It make me feel good. I'll tell you why. I'm pretty sure he blocked my ZiggyNo account, but I use my sports card hunter channel, and him and I comment all the time back and forth. I use that mostly lately when I'm surfing and commenting on people's content. I don't use ZiggyNo account as much. And it irks me. And I'll just close on this. I know there are a lot of channels who blocked me. And as we go into this 4 years on YouTube, it irks me. It won't stop irking me. I'm at the point like really like think about this little tiny content creator mind out there who decided to block me. Does it really mean you won or does it mean you lost? I mean, I've been here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm listening. I'm changing. I'm adapting. I would love to know why you blocked me. And I'm like, sorry that I hurt your feelings that made you block me. But I feel it's a sad state of where we are in the world today, where again, social media, I mean, there are certain reasons to block people. Don't get me wrong. There are some really nasty, trolling, rude, vulgar people. I am one of the most outspoken content creators in sports cards. And sometimes I know it might upset you, but you can respond. You can DM me. I'll even take it offline. I'm really just trying to help your engagement. Have a great day, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. I really, really do appreciate Hobby Now. I do have a little rant video coming out tomorrow. Hope you guys will enjoy that and more content as we get into the Memorial Day weekend. Happy Memorial Day. Oh, Hobby Palooza is coming. I will not be part of Hobby Palooza, but I do remember when I was, and it was great to be part of it. And I'll probably watch some Hobby Palooza. So cheers to Hobby Palooza. What else? Anything else? like, comment, and subscribe.